Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. I apologize for my absence. I've been trying to juggle multiple things lately and I've been kind of struggling. There's a lot of things that I care about that I'm trying to stay on top of and just trying to stay on top of everything. I guess I just haven't been doing a good job lately, so I've been kind of neglecting my YouTube channel. These are two paintings that I just recently finished. I'm going to sell them soon and I'm also going to make the prints available for purchase. They're mostly done. I just have to touch up a few minor things. I don't feel like getting all dolled up today, so you can just stare at this. So there's been a lot going on in the news recently, and a lot of what's been going on in the news is right on target with the kinds of things that I like to talk about on my channel, and shame on me for not taking advantage of that. But like I said, I just haven't been doing a good job of juggling everything lately. So right now we're going to talk about Kevin Samuels. As you all know, Kevin Samuels recently passed away, and I'm super shocked. I mean, you can't know ahead of time when death is going to come and collect you, but I'm really shocked that he passed away. I'm not going to say that God caused him to pass away, like he could have caused him to pass away, or maybe he didn't cause him to pass away per se, but he simply allowed it, and we might not ever know the reason why. But I'm super shocked that that has happened. Black women mainly are celebrating that Kevin Samuels has passed away. Black men are mainly mourning his passing. I see his friends all over YouTube defending him. I liked some of what Kevin Samuels had to say. I didn't agree with everything he said, but I did like some of what he had to say. You know that saying, eat the meat and spit out the bones? You can consume someone's content but not receive everything they say, but you can still see that there's some validity to some of what they say. Kevin was associated with the manosphere, and the majority of the manosphere is MGTOW. And MGTOW means men going their own ways. So those are men that are not gonna look for marriage anymore, like they're giving up on marriage. And I guess I don't know if they're giving up on women as a whole, but I know they're giving up on marriage. And Kevin was like associated, he was either a part of the manosphere red pill community or was simply associated with them. But the thing that I liked about him was that he was not MGTOW. His message included encouraging marriage within the Black community and encouraging Black Americans to build Black nuclear families. You already know that that's a message that I'm a huge fan of. The urgency of the message is more important than the messenger. So you can agree with the message without necessarily supporting the messenger. The urgency of the message is more important than the messenger. And I like that he encouraged I like that he encouraged nuclear families within the Black community, and I like that he encouraged marriage because most manosphere people are MGTOW and they're just not into marriage anymore. According to them, marriage is like pointless or whatever. I think marriage is a great thing. It's just the laws around marriage that are the problem. And we'll just have to talk about that in another video. Kevin's criticisms were mainly directed towards Black women, and I think that's the biggest issue that most people have with him. The way I see it, I mean, like I said in that other video that I made about him, he simply repeats things that most people already know. Like most women do not prefer men that are shorter than them. Most women do not prefer men that are too nice. Most women do not prefer men that are younger than them. Most women don't prefer men that are broke because women look for security, and those characteristics do not make us feel secure. And then on the other hand, men don't prefer women that are aggressive and controlling. Men don't prefer women that have already had a baby with another male. Men don't prefer women that let their weight get out of control. And I know that they don't typically go for women that are older than them. Women tend to look for security. Men tend to look for, I'm not sure how to describe it, like someone that appears to be like a good mate. They look for maybe aesthetic appeal. Maybe that's what it is. But Kevin's criticisms were mainly directed towards Black women. And there's a stereotype that Black women are aggressive, controlling, loud, that too many of us are baby mamas. And stereotypes are exaggerations of the truth. So they're not 100% false, but they're not 100% true either. They're exaggerations of the truth. So those stereotypes that he criticizes and speaks on in his show, there's truth to the stereotypes. I think too many of us are aggressive and controlling. Too many of us are baby mamas, and too many of us have let our weight get out of control. And I think there's stereotypes associated with black men too, that they don't build, they don't provide, they don't protect, they're lazy, they're bums. It's not all black women, it's not all black men, but too many of the stereotypes do apply to too many of us. And I don't agree. Like, I feel that some black women feel that black men are inherently deficient. There's black men that feel black women are inherently deficient. I don't agree with either. I don't feel that our community is inherently deficient, because a lot of the widespread problems that we have today were not widespread prior to the 60s. Prior to the 60s, our lives were not perfect, but a lot of the issues we have now were minor issues prior to the 60s, which is why I'm convinced that our community is not inherently deficient. It's because we create environments overwhelmingly that tend to foster dysfunctional behaviors. So the criticisms that Kevin has for black women, there's some truth to them. And then also the black women YouTubers that criticize black men, there's truth to a lot of what they say about black men, which is why I try to listen to both sides and don't take it personal and get offended. And I question, is there any truth to this? And I think it's so interesting how everybody is pointing the finger at Kevin Samuels and saying Kevin Samuels is abusive towards black women, he degrades black women, this, that, and the third. And I think that's so interesting that everybody is saying that, because black women were the ones that made him famous. I guess the people criticizing him must have never watched his show. I used to watch his show just because I think he is articulate, he has good debate skills, and he's pretty funny too. I mean, I watch his show just for the comedic relief. The women that call his show, it's like women would literally line up to talk to him every single night, ever since he went viral, like 1 or 2 years ago, however long ago it was. Women would literally line up virtually. All these women would call him, and he would have all these women sitting in the waiting room, and they would all literally sit there and wait their turn to talk to him. And I think that's so interesting that everyone accuses him of being abusive towards black women, even though black women were the ones that were flooding to him by the masses. And to me, it's like, this is another example of the same thing that we always see. Blame everything on the man, but say little to nothing about the way that the women contributed to the problem. When you call his show, you already know exactly how the conversation is going to go. He's going to ask you how tall you are, how much do you weigh, what size dress do you wear, are you married, have you ever been married, do you have children, how old are you? When he asks women to rate themselves, he doesn't just look at them and say, you're a 2, you're a 3. He asks them to rate themselves, and he lets them give an answer, and he basically forces women to be honest, is basically what it is. And these women were coming to him, and when you call his show, you know exactly what you're walking into, and the women will still line up every single night for the past 2 years to talk to him. So I think it's interesting that he's getting accused of being degrading towards black women. He was so degrading towards black women that they came to him by the masses. And he would get into arguments with women that he felt were giving him too much attitude, and he would hang up the phone on them. He would argue with them, hang up the phone, and then the same women will call him back the next day with their hair done and their makeup done and their chest all out, to the point where people would even say in the comment section, I'm convinced that these women are not actually calling for dating advice. They're calling as if this is a job application, because that's kind of what it would look like. Like they're trying to, quote unquote, apply to be his next wife. So that's interesting to me how, it's like blame everything on the man, but little to no criticism for the little to no criticism from how the women contribute to the problem. And I guess people that are saying he degraded black women, I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I'm saying that these women line up to talk to him every single night for the past 2 years. So blame everything on him and leave little to no criticism for them, which I think is interesting. I think the main thing about him that was controversial is how he asked women to rate themselves. And I guess that is I guess that takes a lot of backbone to have someone rate themselves and then to make them give an honest answer. But you do have to be realistic. Like, fully well if you're a perfect 10 or if you're a 5. A 5 is average. A 5 is average. You know fully well if you're a 10 or if you're a 5. And I do think that took a lot of backbone to have people rate themselves like on a public forum that's going to get broadcasted across the entire country. But like I said, when women call his show, you know exactly what you're walking into ahead of time. I think that's the main thing that made him the most controversial. I'm not saying I agree with it, but like I said, when you call his show, you are choosing to subject yourself to that. You can easily, like all the women that call him, they could have simply not called him and he would not have had a platform. And yet they still called him night after night for the past 2 years. Dr. Umar referred to Kevin Samuels as a prophet. I don't agree that he's a prophet. But I will say that prophets are God's mouthpiece. They can hear from God. They say out loud whatever message he wants delivered. Why does God speak through prophets instead of just speaking on his own? I think it's simply because he likes engaging with his creations. I think the Creator simply enjoys engaging with his creations. And prophets tell people things that they don't want to hear. They tell people the truth. They warn people when they're doing something that they're going to later regret. Prophets are typically rejected. They face a lot of, they're ostracized. They face persecution, rejection, and yet they still go forth and deliver the message anyway because the message is more important than the messenger. And I can see why Dr. Umar referred to him as a prophet. I don't agree that he's a prophet, but I see why Dr. Umar chose to use that term. So I am sad that I'm definitely sad that he passed away. Like I said, I don't agree with everything he says, but he does make a lot of valid points. I like how he's fighting for the Black nuclear family. I like I have a problem with people that are having children when they're not prepared to take care of them because that plays a role in who they become as an adult. And I like when he asks women, oh, well, did you marry your baby father? Well, why didn't you marry him? So good enough to make a baby with, but not good enough to marry. I think that's a valid question. And it's even more valid when they do it more than once, when they make more than one child with the same person who they already know is a bum. So like I said, I agree with some of I like a lot of what he has to say. I think he is very good at debating. He's a really quick thinker and he's extremely funny. So I'm sad that he passed away. There was one thing that I don't agree with him on is that he speaks favorably of adultery. And also I feel that he speaks favorably of premarital sex while claiming to be a Christian. Obviously adultery and sexual sin are not like aligned with Christian values. So I would say he was more so a Christian, more so in name than an actual lifestyle. But you know, your claim is supposed to match your lifestyle, and you see he passed away in the middle of a one-night stand. So, which is really, really sad. It's funny because I did make a video 1 or 2 years ago about exactly what I just said, how he claims to be a Christian, but he speaks favorably of adultery and he speaks favorably of premarital sex. And I feel that he should have been telling people that they need to just stop having sex altogether because we have a problem. Black America has a huge problem with unwanted pregnancies. And I've heard him mention abstinence once or twice here or there, but I feel like he should have mentioned it a lot more than he actually did. But I know some people don't mention it because they don't actually practice it, which is why most people shy away from it. But I made that video 2 years ago saying that, a lot of what he says is not something that a Christian would say, and that I don't agree with it. And I think monogamy is better, especially, I know that like in the past when our culture was more primitive or whatever, the family was a bit more extended, but I think monogamy works better with more advanced cultures, and I don't know why that is. I just think that's how it is. And I said that I didn't agree with how he speaks favorably of adultery and premarital sex, and then I actually deleted that video. I think I made it 1 or 2 summers ago, and I don't even remember why I deleted it, but I did delete it. And I probably should have left it up because I'm not trying to be dark or morbid, but in a way it would have aged well. Even so, I'm still sad that he passed away. I don't understand why. Well, none of us will probably ever know why, but I'm just so shocked that he's gone. And death happened so quickly and so suddenly. And I'm not celebrating his passing, obviously. I'm not celebrating it because I am in favor of people that are not desperate to be liked, that are not desperate to fit in. I like people who are articulate and know how to debate. I like people that tell people things, that are not afraid to tell the truth and tell people things that they don't want to hear, because that takes a lot of courage and backbone. You know, I like people that are built that way regardless of where they fall on the political spectrum or on the cultural spectrum. So I'm sad for his passing. It's sad to see people celebrating his death. Kevin Samuels might be gone, but his message isn't going anywhere because it wasn't actually his message. It's a message that existed before YouTube existed, before he existed. That men tend to look for certain things, women tend to look for certain things. That doesn't, even though Kevin is gone, that doesn't change. So that's crazy to me to watch women celebrate his death, especially when women were the ones that made him famous, which is amazing. Anyway, so leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Be sure to like and share this video. You know, if you disagree or if you agree with anything I said or whatever, just, you know, explain where you're coming from in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And again, I'm sorry for my absence, but I got more YouTube videos coming soon. You guys have a wonderful day.